We're starting this series called Sorry, Not Sorry. Hence the reason for the game, right? So it's called Sorry, Not Sorry. And I want to start, before I go into that too much, we all have different relationships in our lives, right? We have family relationships between parents or grandparents or uncles or our siblings. We have those friendships, some of them that have been going on for years and years and years, and some that are just brand new friendships. We have teammates, people that we wouldn't necessarily be with all the time, but yet, because of the sport, now we are with them all the time, and sometimes those become people that you're with all the time. And we have those different relationships, we have those different friendships. There's the co-workers, the people you work with. We have those different relationships. If you're working in a field, in a place where there's customers, there's those relationships with customers, different people. Some of us are dating someone, or have dated somebody in the past, and so there's those relationships, both current dating relationships and exes. And all of these relationships have unspoken rules. All of these relationships have different things that will make that relationship prosper, that will make that relationship go well, right? Like loyalty. Loyalty is a big one, right? Honesty, authenticity, all the other E's apparently, but so those different things, right? Those different unspoken rules that relationship has. But eventually one of those rules gets broken, and the friendship gets tainted in that way. Then there's those moments where people realize that the relationship is messed up or that the relationship is messy, and so they come to you, they apologize, and then you guys make amends. You guys hug it out or whatever. If you're guys, you're like, we don't hug, so you, oh, cool, right? Whatever it is, right? Yeah, so, I'm a hugger. I know it's weird, but, I mean, yeah. So, prove it. Yeah, bro, just kidding. Good stuff. Yeah. My friend Brad over there. But we have relationships, right? But then there's those moments where we have those relationships, we have those conversations where the loyalty or whatever is broken, and then what happens? The person doesn't realize they hurt you, and so you just go on and you don't mention it. Or they do realize they hurt you, but they don't care. That's when we have those sorry, not sorry moments, where you're like, I want you to apologize, and they're like, sorry for being me, which is always like a jab, sorry for being me, I guess I'll be different, but, so there's those moments where like, sorry, not sorry moments, and that's what I kind of want to talk about. And in these moments, these sorry, not sorry moments, where you feel like the person owes you a real, authentic apology, but they won't give it to you, in those moments are when grudges are born. That's when those grudges are born. I think it's important to define a grudge, because if you're like me, you might be a person you're like, I don't hold grudges. I don't really hold grudges that much. When I think of a grudge, I think of a long-term thing. This has been going on for years. I hate this person for years. But a grudge can be something weeks, days, hours. It's holding against somebody. And so I want to talk about those grudges. And let's be real for a second. There's a strong chance that everyone in this room has had a problem with somebody in the past, and therefore has held a grudge, whatever the length, at some point in our lives. Everyone has. I have, and you guys have. And there's a 100% in this room, there's a 100% chance that in this room somebody will have a moment where relationships go south and grudges are born. Some of you just might not realize it. So there's two important things that I want to go through real quick about grudges. And so there's two things. First, I want you to know that sometimes they are justified, and this is what I mean by that. So don't take that like, oh, Eric said I can be, hold grudges. No, what I mean is, God made us to have emotions. God created us to feel things. And so in those moments, we become angry and we hold that grudge. We hold that for a little bit of a time. And so it's okay to be upset. Oftentimes, if you're like me in any way, sometimes people will say things to you and you're like, well, that's just what they said to me. I mean, I believe it, but, like whatever it is. Sometimes we just, instead of like getting angry or being okay with that, the fact that we're upset, we just kind of let it roll off our back. But I want you to know sometimes they are justified, but we want to talk about length and we want to talk about other things. So sometimes they are justified, more, even better probably, sometimes they are understandable. sometimes being upset is justified. Second, I think it's most important, like I said before, with grudges, time doesn't necessarily matter. You can be like, I don't hold grudges, but yet you don't really talk to that person for 3 days. What's that? Oh, that's just us being in a fight. Well, that's holding a grudge against somebody. If you're like me, you think grudges are years long. They're these things that this person did something a long time ago and they're not going to apologize for it. Or they apologize for it, but they're more like, sorry, but I'm not sorry. So grudges aren't a new thing is the other thing I want to talk about. So I want to go back in Bible times and talk about how grudges were being held even then. From the beginning, in Genesis, there was brothers that one was going to get the inheritance and one was not, and they were holding a grudge over that, so they tricked their dad into giving them the inheritance, their dad who is blind. Right? So there's grudges that are being held all the way back in Bible times. And so about 2,000 years ago, the church was just starting. This movement, this Christianity was just starting. And there was a guy named Paul. Paul's a rock star in the church. Some of you guys, a lot of you guys probably have heard of him. Paul was this rock star. He was known by everyone in the church. But he's also known by everyone outside of the church because he was such a strong pillar of this movement called Christianity. And so, remember, the whole church started with the basis of a king coming and rescuing the people. A king coming. So those that were loyal to the current king saw Christians, saw Christ followers as a threat. So Paul, being a rock star in the church, was put into prison over and over and over again. He was beaten. He was flogged. He was stoned, but not the way we think of it, a different way. Right? So he had these moments. That took a little bit for some people, but so he had these moments, right, where he was brutally beaten, like rocks being thrown at him, trying to kill him or punish him, getting thrown in prison. So here's a guy trying to help people know Jesus and grow to be like him, which is exactly what we're here for, to help people know Jesus and grow to be like him. And so here's a guy that's living that out. And how was he treated? Not great. Not great. And so you can see how easy it would be for Paul, this guy who was treated very, very poorly, to hold a grudge to some people. I guarantee you he had people that came into his life looking like their friends just to get close to him so they can turn him into jail for a profit. Paul could so easily hold a grudge. If I was Paul, I would be holding a grudge very quickly. I wouldn't trust people, any people, right? I would hold these grudges. So in one of his letters to the church in Thessalonica, Paul challenges them to look at this differently, to look the world around them differently. So the first half of 1 Thessalonians 5:15 says this: make sure that nobody pays back wrong for wrong. Now that verse we can read and we can go, yeah, I know that's true. That's the way we're supposed to live. I know that. I understand that. But we throw our own little thing in there, right? But they deserve to go through what they put me through. They deserve, and they need to understand what it feels like to go through what they put me through. How are they going to learn if they don't understand what I went through? How are they going to learn if they can't feel the pain that I feel? How are they going to learn? And those are some legitimate feelings and thoughts. I get that. But think about who was writing this. Paul, the guy who was put through more than we can ever imagine, more than we will ever go through. Paul gets put through this insane thing where he is trying to be, people are trying to kill him over and over and over again. He didn't believe the way that he was treated required revenge. He didn't believe that. He didn't think that they need to learn how it feels to be me. Instead, he writes this, the second half says this: but always, it's 15b, but typo, but always strive to do what is good for each other and for everyone else. Always strive to do good, okay, to do what is good to each other and for everyone else. Why each other and why everyone else? Those two words kind of strike me because it's a little different if you think about it. We're hanging out with each other. We're talking with each other. And everybody else talks about outside of each other. Does that make sense? There's these each other within the church, right? Within the church, we should strive to do what is good for each other. Do what's good for each other. Sometimes that's easy for us. But I think the challenging part is also everyone else. Outside of the church. Non-Christians. Ones that are treating you poorly. Ones that are doing things that you don't want to do. How are we treating those people? But how will I show them that I'm still mad at them? Right? Because we all do that. Like we're like walking in the hall, we're like having a great day, we're like, hey. Yeah, I'm just living. You know, like you do that thing where you're like walking and you want to make sure that person knows you're mad. You know, it's like that instant like, right? Like, and then you keep laughing, you keep going. That's what happens. That's what we do. How will I know this? How will they know that I'm still mad at them? How will they know that they actually messed up this time? Like they can pick on me, they can mess with me, that kind of stuff, but this time they actually cut me deep. How will they know that? That doesn't seem very fair, and truthfully, it's not very fair. But Paul understood the other side of the coin here. Paul understood that the more that you hold on to a grudge, the more you hold on to a grudge, the more it holds on to you. The more you hold on to that feeling, the more you hold on to that person that is most likely long gone by now, the more you hold on to that, the more it holds on to you from moving on, from trusting people, from trusting new relationships, from trusting new friendships. The more you hold on to that grudge, whatever that person did, the more you hold on to it, the more that it holds on to you. I want you guys to think about it this way. Chinese finger trap. You guys ever seen those things?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, like you get them and you're like, you know, you spend like $30 at like Nickel City Arcade, and you're like, sweet! What can I get? 2 Chinese fire, right? Like 2 Chinese finger traps, right? So like, those are the things you can get. These things are awesome. They're also really funny. So I have a couple of them. I have a few of them, and yeah, the leaders are passing them out, and I want you guys to hold on because we're going to do a little exercise with them afterwards. But I want to talk about it. Okay. Shh. I want to talk about it. I don't want you guys to do the finger trap right now. Just hold on to it. Because I want you guys to think about it this way, okay? I gave these to Jay Jennison, one of the guys on staff, 2 of his kids. He said, don't mess with them. You instantly mess. That's okay. Okay. I'm going to not hold a grudge on that. What? Okay, but, so, I gave these to Jay Jensen, he's on staff, I gave these to his kid behind Finn. And Finn's like, oh, I can't get out! I can't get, he like started freaking out, right? So, Chinese fire drill, I keep thinking of that. Chinese finger traps. Chinese finger traps have these cool things. Can I grab one of those? Sweet. Okay. Chinese finger traps have this way, right? Where if you put both fingers in and you try to pull them out at the same time, that's the key. If you try to pull them out at the same time, you're stuck. And I was like trying to see how hard it really is. I'm like, I can break these. And there's actually a lot of force behind them as long as your like finger isn't sweaty and clammy like mine is all the time and it slips out. But you can like pull on these things. But the trick to the Chinese finger trap, Braden, because I know you're probably stuck right now and can't get out. The trick is for one side to let go. To one side, just to let go and let the other side pull instead. And when the other side pulls instead, that's when their fingers are released. And that's so significant, it's so important for holding grudges. Because a lot of us are sitting here pointing a finger at this person, and that person's pointing at us, and you're like, yeah, I'm right. You're trying to pull these things back and forth, and you're in this tug of war. You're in a finger trap that really doesn't matter, and you look really silly, right? That would be really funny if Noah and I are like we have this like finger trap, right? That would look so weird. But that's what we do. We try to prove that we're stronger. We try to prove that we're the better person. And that's what we do. And so, here's my thing. Here's the one thing that also is something that I do often. And so maybe you guys are similar in this way. This is something that I do. Sometimes I have these moments where I act like I'm not holding a grudge, so I look like I'm the better person. Like if people ask me about a person that I'm upset about, I'm like, I don't care about them. They're not in my life anymore. I don't care. But I say it with that attitude, that like nastiness. And you think to yourself, you're like, I don't care about them anymore. And you know what that is? That's us burying our feelings. I've been there. That's us holding a grudge. And grudges work a lot like this. The more you hold on to a grudge, the more you hold on to this finger trap and you try to pull, the more you do that, the more it holds on to you, literally. Right? Paul understood that grudges are like a trap like that. You get stuck, and the more you fight, the less progress you make. And it all starts with one thing. It all starts with forgiveness. It all starts with forgiveness. And so I want to kind of go three things that I want to challenge you guys this week, and then we're going to do an activity with these Chinese fire finger traps. I know. It's okay. But, so, I want you to know, first thing I want you to know, it starts with choosing to give up. To give up. And I mean really give up. I mean like really give up on that thing. Because like I said, a lot of us might be at that moment where like, I don't care about that person. I don't care about them. But really, you do. You care about that person a lot. You think about all the stuff that they did to you a lot. You think about how they hurt your heart or how they wasted certain time in your life or whatever that is. You think about that a lot. So give up. Give up your right to get back at them. It's not a revenge thing. Like, how can I make them feel the same pain? Give up on that mindset. Because truthfully, that's not about you. That's about them. That's about them. Oftentimes we forget about the fact that when somebody hurts us, we feel like they got away with it, and they're like fine that they got away with it. But there's a lot of guilt. When I hurt somebody and I find out that I hurt them, even if I don't respond well initially, and I do that sometimes, I'm like, they're just being babies. After I realize I hurt them as much as I feel really bad. Sometimes people feel that way. Second, let go. Let go of the frustration. Let go of the anger. All that's doing is it's bringing and dragging you down. Dragging you down. And there are so many, you're focusing on so many bad moments that happened in your past when you can focus on so many good moments that God has prepared for you in the future. But if you walk around with a grudge, if you walk around with a chip on your shoulder, getting upset, you're missing moments. You're missing new, healthy, happy, positive relationships that are ahead of you. If you are stuck in a grudge, that's behind you. Then finally, I want you to repeat this. Because I'm sorry, I'm 26-year-old, and there's still people in my life that I need to work through, that I have a grudge against. And I forgive everyone. I do. But there are people, if I think long and hard about it, there are people that I hold grudges about, that I'm mad at the way that they lived their life, or I'm mad at the way that they treated me, or I'm mad at what they did to me, or to my wife, or whatever it may be. I'm upset about that. And so this is going to continue to happen. So I challenge you guys. To give up. Let go of that frustration. Let go of that anger. And then keep repeating that. So I'm going to ask the band to come up here. And I want you guys to all have your own finger trap. And this is a really weird exercise. And I understand that. And if you don't want to do it, that's totally fine. But my challenge to you, and I want to just give you a moment where we're going to sing a song. I love this song. This song is called A Place of Freedom. And it talks about how we worship a God who forgave us. We worship a God who takes away our chains, that takes away our pain, that takes away all those things, that He gives us freedom. And so this is a moment where you can have freedom from those grudges. And so I want to just challenge you right now to, really weird, like I said, trap your fingers, okay? And when your fingers are trapped, I want you to pray. I want you to sit there with that, and if you're comfortable with it, just quietly in your heart. If you don't want to pray, if you're like new to this Christianity, you're like, this is really weird, thing. I was like, trap our fingers and don't worry about it. This is just if you feel comfortable. I want to challenge you to sit there and think about those people that you're holding a grudge against. Think about those people that you think about, that you just have that hurt inside, that you have that frustration, that anger towards. I want you to just pray that God will help you through that. That God will help you give up and let go of that frustration. And I am not saying this is easy. I'm also not saying that I know exactly what you're going through, because some of you guys have some stories that I can't even begin to understand. And I know that. I know that. So I'm not saying this is an easy thing. All I'm saying is this is the thing that God challenges us to do. So let go of those grudges, because the more you hold on to a grudge, the more it holds on to you. Guys, you are 15, 16, 17. Some of you are 18 years old. And you guys have a chance. You guys have a gigantic, long life ahead of you, God willing. If you hold on to those grudges behind you, they will haunt you for years. And they will keep you from making some awesome, ridiculous, amazing relationships and friendships in the future.